In my opinion, the Republicans of 2014 are ruthless men, or ruthless men wannabes who advocate for real ruthless men. They vilify and condemn anyone who stands in their way. This is the fuel of their hatred for President Obama. They are representative of ruthless men and ruthless wannabes everywhere. Sunshine, Shadow, Limbaugh, Beck, Coulter are metaphors duplicated millions of times across this country. They were the ugly Americans who represented us in countries around the world where hatred of Americans developed because of them. Ruthless people of varying degrees of wealth who sought and got their way with little or no regard for those trampled. Their advocacy for Christian principles is always moderated with select, picked, and chosen verses used as weapons against people they don't like. That is their religion, the faith many of us flee because we know better. We can know better through scholarly knowledge or familiarity with the Bible, or through the real substance of what Jesus and others said all along, by attention to the heart. If we don't know when we do wrong and harm to ourselves or the next man by the language of feeling in our heart, then perhaps we are not really men, but apes, incapable of that human understanding which separates us. I have never been less sure and more disgusted in my life than now, witnessing this self-destruction of America. One only needs to look at President Obama to see evidence of it. When elected, he was a vigorous young man. Do we not see the grizzled gray and white, the lines of stress, strain, and worry, the slowing movement that betrays pains of which he doesn't publicly speak? Aging of the presidents is well known and documented. President Obama appears to have aged more than most, rare for a man of African descent, and his two hardest years are ahead. He faces a gang of ruthless men who will attempt to wipe out his achievements and legacy through repeal. They tried more than 60 times already and now have a dual majority. That's D-U-E-L, dual majority with which to do it. Dual is intentional because a confrontation it will be. While they talk compromise, that is like their Bible verses, forgotten as soon as the wind passes their lips. They have shown him no mercy thus far, nor for the average American. They represent an oligarchical, plutocratic corporatocracy that succeeded in buying them into the majority on campaigns of deception, lies, and non-issue fears. Take my new Senator Gardner. In America, a corpse has more rights over its body than will women if he has his way through regulation of contraception and abortion. But his stance is biblical, what God wants, and right. Is it? They aren't pro-life, they're pro-birth. And that birth is conditional. If it's white and born into affluence, it's a blessing. If another color and born into affluence, well, the law says that's okay too. If it's something else, born into poverty, The mother should have not had sex, should have used better judgment, should have kept her legs together, should depend on charity, should not be a dependent on government help. And if she seeks a back alley abortion and dies, oh well. Let me illustrate by one example of their charity. At the Salvation Army Food Pantry, where I volunteered, we received a weekly donation of meat from Walmart. We have a row of freezers for it. 95% of what they donated was bad, rotten, and had to be thrown away. Not just expired. I mean festering with decay, rot, slime, and maggots, and it stunk. Tons of it. We would completely fill the dumpster and have to call the garbage company for an extra run that cost us. We served as Walmart's garbage disposal service. The meat we kept were things like bologna and hot dogs, full of enough preservatives to last. But if the packages were broken and it was contaminated by the bad meat, then it had to be thrown away too. Clothing I wore was ruined, and I learned to wear expendable clothes when meat delivery occurred. That was a weekly event for years, and is a reflection of Walmart charity. You can bet your bottom dollar value of the meat was written off on taxes, not for the value of the rotten crap, but the full market value of what it was to be sold for. They also played up their good-hearted charity by publicizing it when and where community service and support was meaningful and useful. People were deceived. This is the America strengthened by the election 3 days ago, and the America we will endure for the next 2 years. An America that will gray, age, and feeble President Obama and all of us for continuation of the enrichment of the rich at our expense. We the people? No, the we people, the little people.